Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wild. Today we are going to be talking about DoorDash entering the financial space even deeper with DoorDash announces financing service as aggregators compete for restaurant loyalty. Yeah, that's right. DoorDash is starting to provide loans to restaurants in an attempt to maintain them on the platform, since a lot of these merchants are looking to nix them. It's a dang shame to see, because I really like some of the merchants, but I understand why they would want to leave. Now, if you're a dasher and you're already like, oh, this doesn't interest me, hold on, because there's actually a lot of interesting data in this article that I ended up seeing, because this is not the first time I recorded this video, that is actually very valuable for us as gig workers. And it's a little foresight into what we can see into the future of DoorDash. I'm already curious on why DoorDash is getting into loans specifically, not getting deeper into the financing space and banking space, because they're already in there with Dasher Direct. Why are they going into loan when they don't have money to loan? Oh, okay. That's enough of that. Let's get started. As restaurant and grocery aggregators increasingly find new revenue streams to offset delivery losses, DoorDash is getting into lending. The food delivery giant announced Wednesday, February 9th, that it is partnering with financial services technology Parafit to launch Doordash Capital, through which the delivery program can provide financing to restaurants with a proven track record on the platform. Before we get too deep into this, let's talk about Parafin for a second. Parafin is a company that is founded by those who worked in Robinhood and developed a startup. Parafin is a company that is supposedly a lending company for those who are in small businesses, so that way they can provide cash advances to them. They're pretty new overall, so there's no real negative or positive thing to say about them. What I'm curious about is proven track record. Like, proven track record of what exactly? Like, what constitutes a restaurant to have a proven track record? I feel like proven track record is a little too broad. Like, what's your credit score? What is your sales in DoorDash's case? Not enough information on that. As we continue to listen to our partners and adapt our services and offerings to meet restaurant needs, one key area where they have asked for support is quick and easy access to capital. Tom Pickett, the company's chief revenue officer, wrote in a DoorDash newsroom post. That's why today DoorDash is introducing Doordash Capital, a new merchant service that provides fair and convenient access for financing and eligible merchants. Through the service, businesses can check their eligibility and see how much they are being offered through the merchant portal. And if they are interested, they can accept the offer for a one-time fee. Repayments are collected without interest as a percentage of DoorDash sales. Okay, but that's kind of an interest to begin with. Like, that is a form of interest that they're earning, collected without interest. Well, first off, this is how DoorDash is trying to stay afloat. First, they have a one-time fee of how much they are owing the company. That's the one-time fee on top of whatever we loaned you. Let's say they borrowed $30,000 and the one-time fee for simplicity's sake is $5,000. So $35,000. No, it shouldn't be that expensive, but that's part of the point I'm trying to make. Repayments are collected without interest as a percentage of DoorDash sales. So they're earning a percentage, whatever that percentage is. It's 30% on the orders that they're doing already. That's what it starts at. And then they added whatever this extra percentage is. Let's say 5%, 35%, until the payments are made. I understand immediate access to cash, to capital is important, but that's a lot. That's a lot to me. In our evolving efforts to support restaurants, we will continue to develop products and services rooted in strengthening our restaurant community, wrote Pickett. The move comes at a time when restaurant aggregators are being tasked with the challenge of working harder for the merchants on their platforms. Much of 2020, restaurants were more or less at the mercy of delivery marketplaces, relying on them to attract customers and fulfill orders. However, the past couple years, a combination of local regulations, digital innovations, challenger tech providers, shifting consumer habits, and more has loosened the aggregators' grip. There is a truth to the fact that a lot of newer restaurants are basically at the mercy mercy of the delivery marketplaces. However, I do think it is important for any restaurant to build their own brand and then begin to access DoorDash's white label program, where the merchant has their own main portal. They outsource to DoorDash in order to fulfill orders. That actually reduces the cost that is put onto them, that 30% that it's already at. That's going to reduce the cost and overall allows the merchant to have ownership of the customer relationship. In fact, consumers now order online through restaurants' direct channels more often than they do through aggregators. In fact, consumers now order online through restaurants' direct channels more often than they do through aggregators. According to data from Payments November 2021 study, Digital Divide aggregators and high-value restaurant customers created in collaboration with Paytronics. See what I mean? Like, more restaurants are doing that now because it reduces expenses, and overall customers are happier going through the portals because it reduces the fees on them. So overall, good news. The study, which surveyed a census balance panel of more than 2,200 U.S. adults about their food purchasing habits, found that 45% of customers had ordered online from quick service restaurants, QSRs, direct channels, and in the prior 3 months, while only about half that share had ordered online via aggregate. Similarly, 39% of those surveyed had ordered online from table restaurants' direct channels in the same period, while only 17% ordered from these restaurants via aggregator. That is a relatively small sample size, 2,200. So let's take that with a grain of salt. 45% of consumers ordered from quick service restaurants. These are fast food, fast casual. 39% of those surveys have ordered from table service restaurants' direct channels. So this is Anthony's Coal-Fired Pizza.com, for example. Carrabba's. I honestly can't think of any others off the top of my head, but you get my point. They go through the direct channel rather than go through DoorDash as an app. In fact, if you actually ask people how they feel about DoorDash, they either have a neutral opinion or a very negative opinion. Very, very few times have I heard an overall positive opinion on the customer side, because the value isn't in DoorDash. DoorDash has earned so much hate that it's become a problem. Given that restaurants are now attracting most of their online sales through direct channels, aggregators now have to compete for merchants' loyalty. In November, for instance, DoorDash and Grubhub both announced features that offered restaurants more flexible fulfillment options, allowing them more choice in regards to whether they do or do not use the service's driver networks. Ooh, so I didn't know that about Grubhub. I didn't know Grubhub had a white label service. So that's actually good news for Grubhub drivers, because overall, let's be honest, Grubhub pays better than DoorDash. Let's just be real. Of course, while large restaurant brands such as a major QSR chain may be able to invest in competitive direct ordering platforms, smaller restaurants, many of which are still struggling to recover from the devastating impact that the pandemic has had on the industry, are in a very different position. Yeah. So big name brands are doing just fine, where smaller businesses are getting slammed left, right, and center. By becoming these restaurants' financer, DoorDash is better able to secure these restaurants' loyalty while promoting an initiative that runs counter to the restaurant hostile perception of aggregators. Restaurant hostile, that's a good term. And that's not just to DoorDash as a company. Dashers, we get a lot of hate from restaurants too. But keep in mind, this is still the company that stole $50,000 from a merchant in New York City and pretty much tried to stonewall him into not getting his money back. That's just the people that spoke up about it. Imagine how many people kept quiet or just couldn't get the support to actually solve the problem. This is my opinion. It's worth what you pay for it. None of you pay me. There you go. I think this is a way for DoorDash's smaller businesses that are actually doing pretty good on the platform to stay afloat, but I'm not sure how much value those companies are actually going to get from this, especially since those cash advances are going to increase the financial hold that DoorDash has on merchants. Like 30% is also already a lot. Are you really willing to risk that for some quick cash? I mean, it's really up to you. I wouldn't risk that personally, but that is really your decision as small businesses. I think that there was a lot of really interesting data for us as Dashers, or just gig workers in general, because that says the direction of where the gig economy is going. Like DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub are no longer going to be simply DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub. They're going to be the outsourced to by the merchants that are doing really well. It's kind of a dang shame that a lot of merchants are wanting to leave the gig economy as a whole. I mean, we were just talking about this a couple videos ago. The reason that the gig economy may fail is because merchants don't want anything to do with them anymore. It's not the political side. Actually, on the political side, we actually just got a huge backing from a lot of the federal side. And the IRS can't find a way to tax certain people in the gig economy. So overall, good news for gig workers as of late. That could be the calm before the storm. Who knows? DoorDash can't succeed as a company if no one is ordering, number one. And number two, no one wants to give DoorDash orders. If they end up going through their own brand, they can eventually just have drivers work for them, and then they just send us the extras when they just don't want to take orders, putting more bad orders in the pool as opposed to good ones. So what should we as Dashers do? As always, make sure you're diversifying your income, like you expanded your gig portfolio to its maximum, and then make sure you're working on something on the side so you're not always dependent on the gig economy for income. The gig economy is an income bridge to what would be a long-term goal. It's not the goal. In fact, even for restaurants, that rule still applies. Like, they're trying to step away from DoorDash and Uber Eats and Grubhub. This isn't the goal, not even for merchants. So good on them for trying to take ownership of their own business. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.